Hello mellow fellows, it's Tara here and welcome to my channel. Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime of all time. I was introduced to the series when I was a kid by my grandma, who still to this day loves anime. Everything from the songs to the fun characters to the sweet ending, Yu Yu Hakusho is an amazing show. I've watched this show countless times, too many times some would say, but we don't listen to those people. They're boring. So I can say confidently that the best arc of the Yu Yu Hakusho is the Dark Tournament arc. Not only does it have some of my favorite moments in the show, but seeing everyone's relationship grow in this section was fun to watch. But I also think that this section has some of the best character development and the most entertaining fights out of the series. So I had a crazy idea. I wanted to talk about the Dark Tournament and all the different teams that fought against Team Murameshi. I think that every team deserves its own video, and I'm going to be going in order by the team. As you can guess by the title, we're going to start off talking about our starter team, Team Rokuyukai. Also disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about the anime only, but if you want to leave some fun facts about the manga, then feel free. The Team Rokuyukai section has a lot of significant milestones, even though it's the first round of the tournament. Why? Because in this point of the series, all four of the characters have been through a ton of training. Kurama has been training Kuwabara to get him prepared to face demons. Kuwabara has some experience fighting demons at this point of the show, but hasn't had proper training until he fought with Kurama. He was used to fighting punks on the street and minor demons, but not a skilled martial artist with killer demon powers. So the training was much needed. Hiei helped with some of his training too, but it was mostly Kurama who trained Kuwabara. Hiei and Kurama also trained by themselves to prepare for the tournament, obviously. Yusuke was off training with Genkai for the second time to get ready. If you remember, he trained right before he went to go rescue Yukina for like 2 months, and now he went to train again for the Dark Tournament. He trained so hard, he was unconscious for the boat right there and for most of the matches of the first round. Basically, he slept for like that night and for most of the next day. Lastly, we have the masked fighter who doesn't need to train because she's a bad bitch. If you didn't know, the masked fighter is Genkai, but why would you watch this video if you didn't know? Rokuyukai translates roughly to 6 demons in Japanese. Why? Because this team has 6 fighters. Since only 5 is allowed to compete at a time, one of them would have to sit out and be a substitute every round. They decided this by playing rock, paper, scissors, and Chu ended up losing, making him the substitute fighter for this matchup. By the way, substitutes are only allowed after a fighter has died or been bedridden. The team members are Chu, RINKU, ROTO, ZERU, and Not Important A and Not Important B. They have names, but like I said, they're not important. They were sponsored by a member of the Black Club, Gondawara. Yeah, anyway. One of the cheating old men out to get Yusuke's team. This team is made up of fighters who want to prove themselves. It is implied that they're lower class and not very rich demons. It's hard to say what exactly they're fighting for, money or fame. Probably both. Their motivations wasn't very clear because they spent most of their time insulting Yusuke's team. Fun fact, in case you forgot, Team Murameshi had to fight 5 out of 8 teams in this tournament, more than any other team in the competition. Of course, it was clearly rigged against them by the higher ups because that's just not how brackets work. For comparison, Team Toguro only had to fight 3 times, which kind of makes sense because they're reigning champions, but either way, it's ridiculous. 5 times versus 3 times, not a comparison. The point is, Team Rokuyukai was a strong team to start off the bat for Team Murameshi. Usually in these type of shows, the starter team is usually an introduction to how the tournament is going to work. Usually they'll be weak or not very interesting. It's just used to get the audience used to the new environment. However, in Yu Yu Hakusho, we get a strong team right off the bat. We got the sense that our team was in trouble from the moment they got into the hotel. What I love about the Dark Tournament arc is that there were no bad fights. Every match has some type of importance one way or another, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, let's talk about the team. Let's get A and B out the way. They were purely for decoration. They seem reasonably strong to even make it on the team, but we will never know. Why? Because they had very few lines before they were killed by Chu. Why did he kill his own teammates, you ask? Well, because he was drunk and annoyed at them for trying to run away. Honestly, I feel a little bad for them. They just watched their leader, ZERU, get obliterated into nothing, one of their strongest members. If I were a grunt, I wouldn't want to fight Yusuke's team either. But then again, it was messed up for them to leave RINKU, a literal child, to fight alone for the rest of the tournament. They were willing to leave RINKU to fight the rest of the team. That was pretty messed up, especially since he was already hurt from fighting Kuwabara Kuwabara. Now for an actual team member that matters. Let's talk about Rinku first. He is adorable and deadly. Rinku is a demon child and was the first to fight for his team. Now, I say he's a demon child, but I believe that he's not a child by human standards. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but it's estimated around 200 years old. His main weapons are yo-yos that can emit energy through them. He can wield about 16 by the end of the show, but during the Dark Tournament he only used 8. And if you automatically think of Killua from Hunter x Hunter, then you're onto something. If you didn't know, both series were made by the same guy. Rinku was barely in the show, but he is a fan favorite, so it would make sense that he would repurpose the use of the toys as weapons for Killua. Side note, I hate when people say that Killua is basically a clone of Hiei, because that takes away all of Killua's childlike qualities and motivations. They are not the same character. They definitely have some parallels for sure, but they're not the same. But that's for another video. The point I'm trying to make is that you can see all of Rinku's influences in Killua. For example, they both have the same cocky, nonchalant approach to things like fighting and death. When Rinku thought he snapped Kuwabara's neck, he was almost giddy about it. Killing is natural for him, almost like a game, a similar attitude that Killua has, probably because they were both raised in a type of environment where killing is normal. Anyways, let's get back to talking about Rinku. Rinku, like I said, is very childlike. He views fighting as playing and doesn't seem to take things seriously. Honestly, he's usually in a pretty happy-go-lucky mood, just like his role model Chu. I would describe him as bratty. He likes to showboat and enjoys the attention from the audience when he was beating up Kuwabara. He's a bit arrogant and tends to be very cocky when he's fighting. You could tell by how many insults he hurls at Yusuke and Kuwabara during their match. Despite being a total brat, he has great respect for his teammates. He listens to them and tries his best for them. He is loyal to Chu specifically and clings to him like a little brother would. He deeply admires him and looks at him as almost an unbeatable god, just like a child would. He was absolutely sure that Yusuke wouldn't be able to beat him and was shocked when Yusuke did. And since Chu gained respect for Yusuke, Rinku did the same, because anyone who Chu respects, Rinku respects. Chu saved Rinku when he was being picked on by a village of demons. Ever since, he has followed him around like a little puppy. His relationship with his teammates are built on a level of respect. Well, some of them at least. He loves Chu because he saved Rinku and has looked after him after that. There isn't much to say about him and Roto's relationship. They barely interacted. However, you could tell that Rinku does value what he says and listens to him on a certain level. He respects ZERU for his strength, but does disagree with him when it comes to topics like Roto's methods. He did not like that Roto plays dirty to win and seems to have somewhat of an honor code as well. He seemed to like A and B until they left him for dead pretty much. But at the same time, he didn't really care when they died, so maybe he was more indifferent to A and B. Either way, he was confident in his team's abilities at the very least, mainly ZERU and Chu's. Also, his team seemed to respect Rinku as an equal level fighter. They do talk to him like a kid, but they do take him seriously. He wasn't treated like a nuisance or anything like that. They fully expected him to win. His fight with Kuwabara was pretty quick. It's a good starter fight for the saga. They both underestimated each other throughout the match. In this match, we were introduced to a new way Kuwabara can manipulate his sword. We knew his sword could get longer, but this is the first time we've seen it bend like Rinku's strings. In the end, they were both knocked out of the ring. Rinku got hurt pretty badly and decided he didn't want to fight anymore, mainly because Kuwabara kept getting up over and over again. Kuwabara's durability scared Rinku, and as the battle went on, you could see he was having less fun the longer Kuwabara lived. So as a solution, he kind of cheated by restraining him outside the ring. Now, technically it's not cheating, but it's like cheating on principle. But I can't get mad at him for it. He was tired and he did what he had to do to win. Also, he's a literal child by demon standards, so whatever. Kuwabara was salty after this, obviously, and basically wanted to fight him anyway, even if it didn't count with the tournament. It was honestly hilarious the way Rinku freaked out and ran away, telling him to go away. I found it interesting how he never interacted with Kuwabara again after this, but he has interacted with Yusuke and Kurama after this. When he fought Kuwabara, he was ranked a C-class demon. However, by the end of the show, he was an S-class demon after training with Kurama. It's telling that Kurama recruited him to train up as one of his warriors because it shows that he saw potential in him. It's also telling that he was willing to help Kurama. After the Dark Tournament match, we saw RINKU occasionally in the series. He seemed to have calmed down his arrogance a bit, but overall he remained the same personality-wise. He did seem much more kinder and friendlier after fighting Yusuke's team. He even helped Yusuke when he was almost killed, came to watch his match with Toguro, and supported him against Yomi later in the series. He was willing to stand up against one of the three kings for Yusuke. He's still critical of others and is a bit of a smartass, but you know, he did have a notable change in attitude after becoming friends with Yusuke. Now, in the Demon Tournament, he had a little crush on a competitor, and it was cute. He made fun of Chu for being girl crazy, but did the same exact thing. He, of course, lost in the Demon Tournament, but I think he was more or less just in it for fun. In the manga, he trains other fighters along with Chu, which is pretty cool. I love RINKU. He's just a funny little guy. Now, there isn't much I could say about this bastard Roto. I am glad that he is dead. His name literally means slaughter, so he is never meant to be a good guy. According to his teammates, he relies on tricks to defeat his opponents. It's a risky gamble and a strategy, honestly, that couldn't have lasted long in the Dark Tournament. He is a D-class demon, so he wouldn't have lasted a long time anyway. His round with Kurama was unique. It wasn't much of a combat battle, but it was a battle of character for Kurama. This is the first of many times that Kurama's kindness was taken advantage of. Kurama was already labeled as a demon traitor when he entered the tournament, basically putting a target on his back right out the gate. Not only did Roto know Kurama's human name Suichi Minamino, he also knew where he lived. I'm not sure where he got this information, but he was able to use it to target Kurama's mother. If Kurama fought back, he would press a button and have his demon brother kill his mother. Roto blackmailed Kurama into standing still and taking a beating. While he was beating him up, he kept insulting Kurama's mother and also insulted Kurama as a demon. He was disgusted that a demon like Kurama would love and protect a human. During the match, I noticed that he kept talking about classes. Even though he was wailing on Kurama's face never changed. Kurama's stoic face made Roto even more pissed off. He believed that Kurama was looking down on him, which is very much true, to be honest. He seemed to hate demons who tries to act high class and wants to bring them down to his level. He believes that all demons are selfish and low class like he is. I think that he has a false sense of authenticity. He believes that he's the embodiment of what demons actually are. He probably thinks that high-class demons are only pretending to be better than him when they're just like him. Either way, it's obviously bullshit. He is a cruel, manipulative coward who can't rely on his own fighting abilities to win, and that's the truth. I think this mindset comes from his background. He obviously comes from a low-class background and has some sort of animosity towards demons who believe they're superior. So I think that he tries to embrace his lower class out of insecurity. He wants to be underhanded and despicable, but at the same time he doesn't want to be looked down on because of it. Basically, it's a catch-22. I think he made it his mission to bring others down. So in that context, I think it would make perfect sense why he got so angry at Kurama's superior look. He put his cruelty on full display when he told Kurama to lick the scum off his boot. In exchange, he promised to spare his mother after he cut off Kurama's head. Then, well, his plan started to go left, which basically leads to one of my favorite Kurama moments in the series. Kurama basically told him to go F himself, and Roto was thrilled. He thought he made a point. He thought he proved that all demons are selfish and awful and was about to push the button. Unfortunately for him, Kurama paralyzed him and sewed a death seed into his body. Roto begged for his life and apologized, claiming that he's a low-class demon who doesn't know any better. When asked if he believes in mercy, Kurama says no and brutally kills him. It was such an artful execution. Beautiful, truly high class. After seeing him dead, Kurama happily struts off with a satisfied look, and that's the end of Roto. Also, according to Hiei, his demon brother disappeared when Roto died. meaning that Kurama's mother is safe and sound. His plan was stupid in the grand scheme of things. It's risky and has too many unknown factors to work as a proper strategy. Plus, I wonder if he planned on fighting Kurama specifically, or if he had blackmail for most of the Urameshi team. The only two people on the Urameshi team that he couldn't threaten is Hiei and Genkai. Genkai was masked, and Hiei is the only one who knows details about his past, so ROTO wouldn't have gotten that information either way. He could plausibly have threatened Yusuke, Kuwabara, and Kurama's family. We don't know if he only had blackmail for Kurama or multiple members. We just don't know that. Apparently, according to RINKU, he does this a lot, so he probably had more than one blackmail on more than one person, more than likely. Either way, it's stupid. There's just too many factors. What if Kurama didn't care? What if he got a different person than Kurama? He did step in the ring before Kurama, so it's not like he picked his opponent specifically. In order to not drive myself crazy, I'm going to chalk it up to him having good luck and call it a day. What I love most about this fight is it shows the duality of Kurama. He is one of the kindest and most understanding people on the show, aside from Kuwabara. However, he's also the most brutal and cutthroat person out of the four. Even Hiei is weary of fighting him. I also love how this battle prepared us for different types of fights and demons in this tournament. In the show, we can come across both good and awful demons, just like we came across both good and awful humans. Sometimes we have a crazy physical fight, other times we have more moral fights, and other times we just have fights like this to show off Kurama's smarts. In other words, it's a great match. A great match for unexpected reasons, especially for character development. Next, let's discuss the second in command, ZERU. In the beginning of the match, you would assume that he is the team leader. He spoke for the group and it seemed to be the strongest of the bunch. And out of the first 5 that we saw initially, he was definitely the strongest and the most intimidating. Come to find out, he was more like a stand-in leader for Chu. However, I'm not sure who's the strongest, him or Chu. Most people would say Chu, but we never got to saw the full extent and the full scope of ZERU's powers. Plus, his fire abilities are like a natural enemy for Chu's alcohol-based attacks. Colliding those attacks would more than likely cause some kind of chaotic explosions. Also, he could make his skin extremely hot, so punching him might hurt you more than it would hurt him. I think Chu would have a hard time with ZERU. Yes, Chu has a speed advantage over ZERU, but so did Hiei, and we saw how good that did him. Chu also would have had a strength advantage, but like I said, getting close to him would be difficult due to the range of his flames, and hitting him directly might not even be worth the trouble. He is a tough bitch, so I respect his attitude. ROTO was smug with nothing to back it up. ZERU's trash talk is backed up by amazing power, so I really don't know who would have won between them. You can make a case for both of them. Like I always say, when it comes to matchups, it's up to the writer's interpretation, and the writer ultimately decide who wins. Anybody can win in that scenario, to be honest. It's a good matchup. With that being said, let's talk about his character. ZERU was rated a C-class demon, which is pretty high for the first match of the Dark Tournament. He had an arrogant personality and had the air of intimidation about him. He clearly thinks highly of himself and tends to talk a lot of trash. He went directly to their room to intimidate them, so he was definitely feeling froggy. There isn't much to say about him, to be honest. He was confident with his team and believed in doing whatever it takes to win. That's why he defended ROTO when RINKU questioned his methods. He personally saw nothing wrong with blackmail or using any unsavory methods to win. To him, winning matters over morals or honor. I really don't have much of an opinion on him. The only thing I love about him is his epic death. Hiei from the very start knew that ZERU was trouble. In this point in the series, Hiei was only seen using his sword. He also had his demon form, aka his Jagashi form, but that was abandoned in the series. If you didn't know, Hiei was made to be a one-time villain, but due to his popularity, he upgraded to be part of the main cast. So it made sense that his more evil form was abandoned. There's no canon reason for why Hiei doesn't use this form anymore. However, I like to think that he just doesn't use his Jagan form because his skills has improved so much that his demon form becomes obsolete. I 100% believe that his demon form would not have helped him against a demon like ZERU or even any opponent he would face after ZERU. It's simply not needed anymore. Anyways, my point was that Hiei, at this point in the series, at this specific point, had no way of overpowering ZERU using his normal methods, aka his sword or punches. He just had, honestly, without what he did, he had no chance. So what did he do? He decided to literally unleash hell out of the tips of his fingers. If you can't beat them, incinerate them. If you think you're going to lose, unleash a fire dragon from the deepest pits of spirit world on your enemy. Simple. Simple as that. Hiei and his eye felt disrespected by ZERU. In his defense, ZERU did call his eye fake and then try to burn him alive first. So I could see why Hiei was a little upset. All Hiei did was return the favor, tenfold, 100-fold. You burn me, I barbecue your whole existence away, an eye for an eye, except one eye has absolutely no chill. Hiei used his spirit energy to lure the dragon of the darkness flame for the pits of spirit world. He ended up sacrificing his arm in order to unleash the dragon, effectively nuking ZERU out of existence. Like, talk about overkill. Hiei only used it because he believed he had no other choice but to. Like he said, he was so talented, he was reluctant to make the kill. After this fight, Hiei's arm was badly wounded, and he was pretty much unable to use it, not even put his weight on it. That was until it was healed accidentally by an enchantress a few rounds in the tournament later. Meaning this one attack had long-term consequences on him physically. Without the nurse lady, well, fake nurse lady, he may have never been able to use that arm again. Fun fact, Hiei is highly resistant to both ice and extreme heat, so it makes sense why he wasn't burned to death by ZERU's first attack. He's extremely resilient in extreme temperatures. Either way, it's one of the most badass moments in Yu Yu Hakusho, and we have ZERU to thank for his sacrifice. But I don't think that he would appreciate being cremated. If ZERU had lived, I think he could have gone somewhat far in the tournament. Well, more accurately, ZERU, Chu, and Rinku probably would have gotten far in the tournament. And speaking of Chu, he's up next. This man is the epitome of chaotic energy. Chu is the official leader of Team Rokuyukai. The only reason he didn't fight was because he lost a game of rock, paper, scissors. The first introduction we got to Chu is when he murdered 2 of his teammates for trying to run away. When ZERU was deep fried, the 2 background characters turned tail and was planning to leave the rest of the fights up to Rinku, which means Rinku would have had to fight Yusuke and the masked fighter even after being injured by Kuwabara. Chu did not like that and just casually unalived them. Because of his teammates' death, he was allowed to fight as a substitute. There is no way around it. Chu is a lush, pure drunken chaos. He is known famously for his incoherent babbling, his flirty nature, and his crazy antics. He walks the very fine line between being annoying and hilarious. I could say that I appreciate his version of a typical flirty character. He's a bit abrasive but still respectful, which I mean I guess is a bare minimum, but in anime it's very noticeable. There's a difference between admiring women and being a sleazy pervert. He had a funny crush on Koto, the announcer, and then later had a crush on Natsumi, who was a competitor in the demon tournament, but we'll get back to her in a little bit. Overall, I like Chu and his goofy personality. He's a mixture between Kuwabara and Yusuke. Me liking him is rare because I tend to really dislike the drunken characters. Chu has a love for fighting, just like Yusuke. He's willing to go above and beyond to make his fights worth the effort. At this point of the match, Team Urameshi has 2 wins and 1 loss, thanks to Rinku. All our team needs is 1 more win to win the round. On Team Urameshi, the only one left to fight are Yusuke and the masked fighter. Like I said earlier, Yusuke was asleep this entire time, making sleepy commentary. He has been asleep since the night before due to his rough training with Genkai. After all the painful yelling, cries for help, loud booing from the audience, yelling from Keiko, a demonic spiritual demon dragon flying around, nothing woke him up. None of that. That was until Chu came and stunk up the place with alcohol. Yes, the smell of booze is what woke up Yusuke Urameshi. Not the dragon of the darkness flame, not Kuwabara nearly falling to his death, or getting slapped around by Botan, just the smelly smell of home. Who knew his mom's drinking problem would come in handy? so of course, Yusuke steps in the fight. Let me just say that he looks adorable with his hair down. I love Yusuke with his hair down. And also, I just love Yusuke in this outfit. This is like top tier. I love both hairstyles, but there is something fun about his hair like this. Like when I was younger, this hairstyle used to have me in a chokehold. I swear to God. Anyway, the fight between these two, Yusuke versus Chu, is intense. It is an intense hand-to-hand combat brawl. This fight is truly one of the more intense fights out of the Dark Tournament. And this is only the first team. This is like one of the more intense ones. Just the setting, the lights, the drama. It was crazy. It was like two little kids aggressively play fighting. Chu's fighting technique only intensifies when he drinks the strongest alcohol in the demon world. It's called Ogre Killer, and it is so strong it'll probably burn a hole in a normal person's stomach. Chu has a drunken fighting technique which makes him unpredictable and incredibly fast. So fast that it's hard for most people to keep up with their own eyes. His fighting style is based off a real kung fu style. I'm sure we've all seen the Jackie Chan movies to know which one I'm talking about. Chu even mixed the alcohol in his spirit energy and uses it as death balls. Like really? After they ran out of spirit energy, Chu and Yusuke decided to do the famous knife edge death match. They also decided that the loser will be killed. Even though both of their lives were on the line, they were having the time of their lives. This fight is like watching gladiators fight for glory. It was just so intense. It was intense. This fight was simple in terms of just logistics. It was simple, it was just punching, but it was also so memorable in its execution. Also, just poor Keiko. After a killer headbutt, Yusuke knocks Chu out of bounds and wins the round for his team. Instead of killing Chu like they promised, Yusuke decided to let them live, and they became good friends. And with that, Team Rokuyukai was defeated and Team Urameshi moves on to the next round. Yay! However, this is not where Chu's story ends. Chu saved Yusuke a couple of times after this. He saved Yusuke and Keiko from a couple of demons that tried to kill him in his sleep, along with RINKU and the others. He then saved their team from a collapsing building after the finals. After that, we didn't see him again until the Three Kings saga, when Kurama asked RINKU and Chu for help. He and RINKU trained under Genkai to raise his level to an A-class demon in the anime. Like I said earlier with RINKU, he was more than willing to double-cross Yomi to protect Yusuke. Afterwards, he competed in the demon tournament and lost in a preliminary round to a woman named Natsumi. Like I said earlier, this was his second crush of the series. At this point, he was an A-class demon and she was an upper S-class. He had no chance at all, so he gave up. This fight was over in less than 2 minutes. He then asked her out, but she said no because she was not interested in weak men. Wow. I mean, queen behavior. So in response, he said in 2 years he trained enough to be stronger than her. I mean, dedication. And in the manga, that was the last thing we seen him doing. He was training under Natsumi and was getting stronger by the day. At this point, it seemed like she at least likes him a little bit, like on a baseline level. I kind of ship it. Also, RINKU is still with him as always, training alongside him. Overall, I do like Chu a lot. He's a fun character with a big personality. He's overprotective of RINKU and sees him like a little brother, even if RINKU scolds him from time to time. His little friendly rivalry with Yusuke is fun too, though he has to get in line because everyone wants to fight Yusuke. Like, he is public enemy number one. His love for fighting and positive attitude makes me wish that he had more screen time. Fun fact, you can see some subtle references for Chu in Hunter x Hunter in Razor's abilities. And with that, we're officially done with Team Rokuyukai. This team was a strong start to the tournament, and it had unexpected turns, dirty tricks, and surprisingly good character growth. Also, Botan in her coach outfit was iconic. So what do you guys think of the first team? I would love to hear what other people think. Next time, we're going to talk about the insane madness of Team Ichigaki. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Anyways, thank you for watching, and bye!